Welcome back to Tale 3 Cabins. A few episodes ago, I borrowed a rake from a gentleman named Lincoln, who is a subscriber to our channel. I'm going to return that to him today. We pretty much got everything we needed to do with it over there. We planted the grass seed. I got quite a bit of stone out of that area, raked up a lot of roots. So it came in handy. It was very nice for him to let me borrow it. So today I'm going to return it. But when I went and picked it up from him, we had a little discussion about his 2025R. And I mentioned that in the video, showed it in the video of him loading the rake up and everything. And we talked about why he picked the 2025R. And basically he had looked at the 1 Series and the 2 Series, and he thought that the 2025R would give him more clearance, though he was disappointed that when it came to loader height, that the loader height was essentially the same as the 1 Series.
Tip point, they say it gets dangerous, whatever. So this only lifts the same as what yours will lift, height-wise.
Yeah, like 72 inches.
Something like that. I've never checked it.
Yeah.
And I know I had a bed on my truck before I put a flatbed on there. But when you're loading stuff, when you get over there, you get a load in there, you can't quite get out from under it.
Yeah.
I wanted it a little bit higher, so when the bucket's down, you could still back over to the tailgate.
Yeah.
And you just can't quite.
Also that he was a little concerned about, but for the most part, sorry about that, I paused the video because I noticed that my tractor was slowly rolling away down the hill. Very minute movements, but I put a rock under there. One thing that my parking brake does not hold whenever the tractor is on a good angle. Even if I leave it in gear, you'll still hear it clicking away, that it's not going to hold and run down the hill here. So back to his 2025R. I had also mentioned that I took a ride to our John Deere dealer that's about 40 minutes away from here when I had a bolt snap on my 3-point hitch and needed to get that repaired before I could do anything down here. And when I went down there, I was kind of looking at their inventory, and that of course spurs the interest whether I should upgrade again. Should I get a new tractor? Should I get a second tractor? Just things to be thrown around in my head. If you've watched the channel for a while, you know that it takes me a long time to make a decision, and that it took me several years before I even decided to buy a tractor. I had looked at them for probably a good 15 years and wish I would have bought one 15 years earlier. But anyways, I went and looked, and I was just kind of curious, what's the difference now between a 1 Series in 2018 and then a 1 Series now in 2023. And overall, not much has changed on it. It's got the same amount of power when it comes to lifting with the loader. It's got the same amount of lift when it comes with the 3-point hitch, although you can get a self-leveling loader with it. That's about the only changes with the loader. They did add LED lights to the new models, and that's both with the work lights and with the regular headlights. Also, it's got the little embroidered patch of the John Deere logo on the seat. They did change the brake handle, which looks better to me than what's on my 2018, and just a few minor cosmetic changes, but other than that, it's essentially the same tractor as 5 years ago, and maybe even the same tractor as another 5 years prior to that. So a lot of folks have asked me, do I wish I would have went with a 2 Series instead of the 1 Series? I do like the larger size of the 2 Series, and I did look at the 2 Series. The 2025R, and then it's quite a big price jump if you're looking at the 32 or the 38R. So I really want this video to be more about the comments down below than what I talk about here. I'm going to give you some opinions, but I really want to know if you have a 1 Series or a 2 Series or a 3, and I really would like to hear from you if you jumped from a 1 Series to another tractor. So did you go from a 1 to a 2? Did you skip the 2 and go right to a 3? And your reasons why, and do you regret it, or were you glad that you did it? You've seen me get this into a lot of tight spaces in prior videos, and that's one thing about the 1025R being very nimble. But then again, there are times where I wish I had maybe a little bit more power in the loader. Now, I think for me personally, if I jumped to a 3 Series, that would probably make a lot of my implements not, I don't want to say not usable, you could probably still use them. But all the implements I have right now on my 1025R, everything's basically in the 4-foot range. So you have a 48-inch box blade, 48-inch rotary cutter for the brush hog. The snow plow is 5 feet, 60 inches wide. And I think if you go to a 3 Series, you're going to want to bump all that stuff up. So I really do not want to look at replacing all my implements. And that's one of the reasons I would consider doing a 2 series, is because I think I could still use all my old implements and just pick up and be fine with it. But again, I want this to be more about the comments down below, and get a good consensus down there of what other folks believe. Just a couple things that I kicked around when I went to the dealers. For a 2025R with just a loader, the cash price is $21,700, and this is local down in Marietta, Ohio. And then if you just wanted to get a 1025R with just a loader, that price was $19,500. So $2,200 difference between the 1025R and the 2025R. Now, one thing I don't think I would want to live without is having the backhoe. It's been really nice having the backhoe. I'm glad that I got it. At the time when I bought this tractor in 2018, I got this as a package deal, tractor loader backhoe, for $19,500, so $19,500. Now, if you want to do that, that backhoe attachment is almost like another $8,000 on top of the price of the tractor. So you're looking at, according to them here, you'd be looking at about $27,500 to get the backhoe. So that's a pretty big expense. So one of my questions with the dealer was, if I took off the brackets and put them on a new 2025R, could I use my backhoe on it? And they could not answer that right off the bat, but they did get back to me later and said you can. So you need the Power Beyond on the back, which is probably around $400 or $500 to add that. But then I could take the brackets off of this and I could use my backhoe just like on the 2025R. Now, when it comes to depth of digging, you're actually going to lose some on the 2025R because you're going to be a little bit further higher off the ground because of the larger tires and a little bit larger of the frame size. I don't know how many times where I thought I was going to dig a 6 or 7 foot hole. Some people made comments down here when I was building the place down here in southern Ohio that I should try to put my own septic system in. And if you saw the holes that had to be dug for that, I think I was much better off having somebody come with a mini excavator and digging those holes and trying to do it. They were just fairly deep, kept it nice and square and concise. I think in the long run, if I really needed to do it, I could probably do it, but it would not have been such a nice, neat hole as with the mini excavator. Lincoln and I also had another discussion, essentially since he has the same tractor, but it's the 2025R, is that when you sit in that seat and you have your armrest on the seat, I really like the comfortability of the controls for the loader bucket. This is very comfortable.
Oh, I love where that's at. The
Like,
older style was down here, and it had the long joystick on it.
Yeah.
I looked at that, and I thought to myself, I want that. And some other tractors that I looked at, that was one of the selling points. It was all up here. I didn't want it up away from me.
Right. So if you look at a 3 Series, it's up here, and I'm thinking, man,
That's not
if
quite
you're
what I'm wanting.
loading stone in a driveway or something,
That's a lot of why I got the tractors for the loader.
Yeah.
I didn't even get. I could have got a belly mower and a backhoe and all that, and I didn't get that. This is pretty much what I got here, and I use it every day. I don't even know how many hours on this. 496.
Oh, nice. Almost 500.
Almost 500 hours on it.
Can be due for an oil change.
Yes, it is.
I use the loader quite a bit. I have the brush crusher, and then if I'm using forks, and then in the wintertime I have the snow plow that's attached to the front as a loader attachment. So my hand is always on that armrest, and it's just a perfect reach over to the loader controls. Now, some of the other tractors, say the 3025E, that just looks a little bit painful if you were to be using your loader all day long, just the way you'd have to reach across and work those loader controls. So I'd like to hear from folks that have these tractors. So if you have a 3 Series, what do you think of the loader control? If you're working with the loader all day, if you're unloading stone or dressing up your driveway, does it get tiring reaching across there? Did you do any modifications like an armrest or something like that to make it a little bit easier for you? But when it comes to the R series, like the 32R and the 38R, there's a lot of things, that I'm just never going to use. I'm never going to use the cruise control on this thing. I really don't have a need for it. Some of the work lights are nice, but you could add those yourself later. You don't have to pay the expense for the work lights. So there's some features on the R series that I'm probably never going to use, but there are a couple that are nice to have.
One of the things that I'm going to do, and I saw a couple guys doing, is I'm going to change this four-wheel drive lever. Yeah. I'm going to take it off there and bend it up so it's right here.
Oh, right.
I and I constantly forget which I'm in.
I know, and then you take it in and
Take
out.
it in and out. And I'm like, which one am I in?
And
I
then
just put the loader down and back up a little bit. Up, front tires are turning.
And then usually, if I'm making a turn, I know what I'm in.
Right, exactly.
But did you ever look at like a 32 or a 38?
Yeah, I did. When I got this, my wife actually said, well, is this one big enough for what you want?
Yeah.
And I said, well, I was looking at the 1025. The 2025 would do everything I really want, but everybody says buy bigger.
Yeah.
Do I wish I had a 38? Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I push snow in the winter. I have a truck, salt. It's got more lift capacity.
Yeah.
I can lift more stuff. As it is now, I got to break skids down, move
Yeah.
them around,
Yeah.
and which is a pain in the butt.
One
but I can do it.
One thing I notice is at home everything's fine, but down in southern Ohio when I'm going up my driveway, and if I got a load of stone or something, that engine is like really whining.
Really hard,
Yep.
really whining.
Yep. So that's what I wonder if the extra horsepower.
You put extensions on yours too, didn't you? Wheel extensions.
Yep.
How
Spacers.
far out did you go? Yeah, how many?
I got 3 inches
3 inches
on each side.
on each side.
Yep. And that was another question. I was wondering if these wheels.
These are exactly where they're at, but I need wheel extensions.
Yeah.
I've never felt tippy on it, but I don't. It's mostly flat ground where I'm at.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I get brush hogging, it can get hairy, start getting close to ditches or whatever.
Yeah.
But anytime I feel like I even could potentially get in a hairy situation, I throw the wraps up, put the seatbelt on, do all the things. But I have not come close to tipping it over. But I do want, just for my own peace of mind, I need some extensions on there.
I was wondering if this bolt pattern is the same as mine, because I was wondering if I do change one day, if I would be able to take my spacers and
I can't answer
throw 'em on
that.
there.
That would be, that'd be interesting to know.
When I put that cab on, it was a noticeable difference though.
In the
How
tippiness?
tippy it was.
Yeah.
Because that cab is probably 450 pounds
Wow, that's a lot
altogether
of weight.
with
Yeah.
the glass, and it was a noticeable difference. I had to put those spacers on. You were getting that pucker feeling,
Yeah, I
just
don't like
doing
that.
stuff I normally did before. I'm glad I got them, and they do make a difference. I never put like any beet juice or anything in the tires.
I don't. These aren't loaded either. Sometimes I think about it,
Yeah.
but I've got 600, 700 pounds in the back of it now. I generally don't have a problem picking. I can break out the loader before I lift that butt end.
Yeah.
Which is something else I thought about, turning it up a little bit.
Right.
My warranty's gone. If
Yeah.
I break it. I got to fix it either way.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can tell when it's really starting to hurt the tractor with how much you're lifting.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had mine stuck yet. Which I know you've had yours stuck.
It's almost annually.
Almost annually.
But
Getting back there in the woods, getting that wet stuff.
yeah, well, it's the smaller tires too. I think it just you can bottom out real easy.
Yeah, you get low into stuff, and like I said, that's one of the reasons why I bought this one.
Yeah.
1025.
And then even the front tires are so much smaller
Yeah, they're tiny.
that I would think this would give you more gripping than.
You know, and looking at this, almost the size of my rim,
Yeah.
or the size of the tires, almost.
Yeah. So stopping at the John Deere dealer in Marietta, like I said, it sparks an interest in maybe changing models or adding a model. I think the perfect scenario for me would be to have 2 tractors, but I don't know economically if that's perfect. To have something down here all the time, so I'm not trailing it back and forth, and then to still have something at home. I think that maybe a 2 series would be beneficial down here because there's a larger area, and a lot of the things I do could use a little bit more oomph than the 1025R. And then at home, pretty much all my chores around the house there are done when it comes to size-wise, putting a pole bar in, putting in driveways, taking down trees, dressing up my driveway, doing all that stuff worked out well. It might have been nicer to have a little bit bigger tractor at the time when I was doing some of those projects. It just makes things a little bit more time consuming. One thing I did notice when we were building the place down here, I almost did start looking at the prices of mini excavators just for the heck of it, because I certainly can't afford a large excavator like they were using, but it was a little disheartening to know that when I would sit out in the springtime and be digging up a stump and spending sometimes 4, 5, 6 hours to jig out one stump. Going back and forth with the backhoe and then using a reciprocating saw and then back onto the backhoe again, and eventually working at it and getting that thing out. And then to come down here and watch them tear these trees out in a matter of 20, 30 seconds for one large tree. Just knocking it over, pulling up the stump, pushing it off to the side with a little, you know, makes you kind of think of how much time you spend. And I certainly got a lot of comments from folks when I was digging out stumps before. And then also with the property next door, that's still up in limbo. It's currently under auction. The auction's gonna end here in about 4 days. So it's not clear what's going to happen with it, if somebody's going to buy it, if they're not going to get the price for it and they're going to hang on to it. So that's a lot of hunting property over to the right of us here that we used to use. And in a pinch, they had a little bit nicer path to get up to the main back part of our property. And a lot of times we have our own ATV, UTV path here, but if you get a good heavy rain or a good day soaker, maybe get one ATV up, maybe get a second ATV up, but then that third one, after it's loosened up all the mud and the clay and everything, is not going to make it up. So a lot of times we would go and use their path just as an auxiliary need, or even coming down sometimes just to be a little bit safer. And we're probably not going to have that access anymore. At least it's looking that way. Like, again, we don't know who's going to buy the property or what's going to happen with it next door. To me, thinking about a mini excavator to try to dress up our path going up the hill here might be beneficial to have something on tracks, and then to just use around here, because it is kind of hilly. You're always on some sort of little incline around here. There's not very many flat spots. And I think a mini excavator might be a little bit more agile when it comes to the terrain that we have here compared to a tractor. So a lot of things to think about. I'm just throwing them out there, and really I'm interested in your comments and what you guys think. And I do read all the comments. Sometimes I can't answer them right away, but I do like proofread everything, see them, and then I try to come back and start answering some. Sometimes folks will ask stuff where I've got to like look up or research or try to remember what they were asking about, but I try to at least read them all, and then I certainly try to respond as much as I can. But give me your 2 cents on all this stuff, and then I'm going to go drop this rake off to Lincoln and drop off an apple pie. I'll see you in a little bit. Hey Lincoln.
How you doing, Tom?
Good, how are you?
Looks like it worked well for you.
Yeah, I think I would have hated to have to do it by hand. There are a lot of...
here if you ever need it again.
Well, if you ever need a box blade or a tiller or something, you know, let me know if I'm passing through.
On a corner down there.
Oh yeah?
He lets me borrow his stuff.
Oh, okay. Could I see where you throw your goats at? Would you mind?
I was just going to say that. I was going to say, you want to check out the goats?
Well, I think
You don't
my
mind
wife
the
would
rest
be
of the mess.
more interested in me. But and how many do you have?
About 30, I think 30.
Really?
About 30 goats, yeah. We have 3 turkeys and 20 chickens. All Nigerian dwarfs. We breed them primarily for show and milking.
Oh, okay.
They're all happy to see us because it's feeding time. They're going to come running.
Hi.
A couple babies here yet. We have one in the garage, just a bottle baby. We unfortunately lost Mama and everything.
Hi there.
They'll chew on your fingers a little bit.
Want to eat my gloves?
Oh yeah, they'll chew on just about anything.
Very nice.
Goats everywhere. This is primarily my wife's doing.
Yeah.
Start out with a few, and kind of like chicken math.
Yeah. Do you get goat's milk from them or anything like that, or no?
Yeah. Yeah, we get goat's milk, and I primarily drink it myself for the most part. We make some fudge now and then, and we have friends that make soap with it. And they have their own goats, but we help supply some of their milk.
Well,
and that's my wife's therapeutic thing she does. Typically we burn horns off just for safety for the goats.
Yeah.
And if you have a herd with horns is fine. Without horns, you want to, whatever it is, you want to keep it the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
And
okay.
with the fencing we have, we've had horror stories about they'll break their own necks and whatnot.
Oh, really?
Trying to if they get caught up in a fence. And my wife's just real parent.
Yeah.
So we take care.
Now, if you go walking around in there, do they like to butt you or?
No, they'll jump on you wanting. You'll
Yeah.
get all muddy, but we can go in there if you want. I mean, it's,
No. I don't.
they'll just jump up on you just like this. They'll want to stand on you and
Yeah.
love on you. Yeah.
You do yoga in there? No.
No. We do goat yoga.
Yeah.
We go through a yoga service.
Really?
She makes up all the plans. She does all the advertisement. And matter of fact, last weekend we did one at the Football Hall of Fame.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that one sold out.
You sell them after you have so many, or?
Well, this is primarily our breeding stock, and these babies here, I think, are for sale or will be for sale. Or, you know what? Honestly, I'm not 100% sure because my wife takes care of all the breeding, all the sales, all that stuff.
Okay.
And she's got some pretty good lines. We've gone way out to get some.
What does a goat normally go for?
Males, I think, are 250, 300 ish.
Okay.
I'm not 100% on the pricing, but the females, depending on their lineage, they can go 500 to 700 to 1,000.
Yeah.
Depends on the lineage that she breeds with. We have the males in the back. You got to have more than one. They're a herd animal.
Are they?
Yeah. You need at least two. My wife doesn't like to sell. If it's a new situation, she'll only sell you two. She won't sell you just one. And that's for the safety of the goat, and because they can just die too.
Yeah.
If they're by themselves, they feel lonely, and they're not. They act like dogs. They want to be around you, but they're not. They don't do well by themselves at all.
Yeah. Okay. How much area does like two need? Like
not
in a pen?
In a pen?
Yeah.
You can storage clean the barn out. We have these two are birthing stalls, and a mama and a baby will stay in it. Oh yeah, that's my fault.
No, that's right.
It'll last just real close. And we have I put the door down low, or hold it up high.
Yeah.
So the smaller goats can get away from the bigger goats. And my wife usually feeds them in here, so they're thinking they're gonna get fed. And I made some barrels, some breeding barrels. And we hang lights in here. Actually, there's one in here now. I hang heat lights in here, so the babies can get in here and stay warm. It keeps their body heat in there. They love those things. Oh goodness, fun. It's a chore every day.
Yeah.
And I set up my little John Deere over there with the water buckets and feed buckets and all that stuff. So we take it to the boys and chickens and the turkeys. And
Since we may not be able to hunt on that property anymore.
may need to put some more trails in.
Well, I have a trail, but
Yeah.
after a day's worth of rain, and maybe if you're the second or third ATV trying to get up there, you usually can't make it
Not
once you
happening.
loosen up all that
Yeah.
dirt. I'm looking at something I might have to maintain our trail a little bit better. And,
Yeah.
You know, something that would get the ruts out.
Can you get some kind of drag for your four-wheel or the side-by-side? Because it'll make it up once, drag it back down.
Yeah.
Then you get too much erosion down the bottom side of the hill.
The bad thing is that as you go up and down, you start uncovering large
Boulders.
chunks of shale and
Sharp
boulders.
stuff.
And it would be nice to just like push that off every once in a while.
Yeah.
But
If it's that steep, you could do some rain runoffs too. Like halfway down the hill, put a 45 and
yeah,
direct the water off the
right,
trail.
right. But there's no way I would be doing that with my tractor.
No, I don't. Yeah, no.
And
it's
something
steep.
like this, I thought you could at least like get on them steeper angles. And,
You can get, yeah, they'll go places you can't really imagine. That you sometimes think you shouldn't be at.
Right, right.
But little Dozer's right there. She's been under the trees for a while. And I keep saying one of these days I'll pull it out and do something with it, but it's still sitting here.
Yeah. And this was fresh out of the oven this afternoon.
Oh goodness, you didn't
Apple
have
pie.
to do that.
I hope you liked it.
You didn't have to do that at all.
Well, I was notorious on the fire department. They're world renowned for apple pies. So the first one of the
We'll try it
season
out
right
this
now.
evening.
So,
We'll try it out this evening.
but
for
it
dinner.
might even still be a little warm.
It does. It feels a little warm.
So, but
That's awesome. I appreciate it.
I appreciate everything you did, and hopefully pick your brain on them goats one day.
Yeah,
and
by all means. Yeah,
if
give me
you
a
see
call.
something that I have you need to borrow, just let me know.
Not a problem.
So I appreciate everybody watching. Hope you enjoyed and subscribe to these videos. Click on that little bell when you want to know when a new one is coming out. And keep an eye on us. Take care, everybody.
Well, 99% of the time, this is how it sits. Unless I'm moving manure out of the barn, whatnot, I put the bucket on, move some dirt here and there.
Yeah.
I usually have the forks on. I find I'm using my forks more and more than anything. And I got the Artillean forks because I want to get the Artillean grappling.
Gotcha.
That's why I did that.
Yeah.
And I found, when I did a little bit of research before I bought it, the Artillean forks are a lot lighter than the quote-unquote John Deere forks.
Yeah.
With these small tractors, every pound counts.
Right. Yep. Yeah.
So they're a little bit lighter, and I work them to death.
Those are 42 inch?